Okay, I'm going to show you my recipe for the very best and most delicious filet mignon you can make. This is even better than anything that you can get in any restaurant. First, let me say that I will not be appearing on camera, and I'm using a device to disguise my voice so that I cannot be identified. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is obviously an oven. This is mine right here. As you can see, I've got the rack about, as I remember, it's about 6.5 inches below the broil element, and we'll be using broil. On my stove, broil can be set to either high or low, and I use the high setting, and that takes it to right around 475 degrees when it's completely heated up. Yeah, about 475. 450 is as high as my thermometer gets, and you're going to want to get yourself an oven thermometer so that you can read can't even get a good picture of it, but there it is. So that you can read what the temperature is in the oven. You're also going to need a good Calphalon pan. The one that I have here is kind of specifically designed for cooking steaks. From front to back it's about 7 or 8 inches, and then across it's about 12 inches. And it comes with a press plate, a steel press plate, though you won't need it for this. Now the first thing I do to prepare the pan, and I've actually already done it, unfortunately, because I started this video earlier and tried to pause the video so that I could allow the meat to thaw out, and it just killed the video and I had to start over. So as you can see, I've already sprayed this with Pam grilling spray, and I use the grilling spray over the original because the grilling spray supports high temps, and that's what we're going to have in the oven. Okay, so there's a pan, and you can see that there's a fair amount of Pam in there. The purpose is to help keep the pan like brand new and to make it very easy to clean the food after I'm done cooking. Clean the food off the pan and get it washed and nice and clean again, and so it'll still be just like brand new. And even with non-stick pans like this one, if you don't use cooking spray, you just ask them for trouble down the road. Okay, now when I first put this on, you could barely see those ridges because there was so much white Pam in there that it actually looked completely white and you could not see the ridges. But because it's set for a while, you can see the ridges now. But that should give you a good idea of how much Pam is in this pan. Okay, so the next step is to put the thawed out meat into the pan, which I will do next, and I'm going to have to set the phone down to do it. Now these steaks are 12-ounce beef tenderloin steaks, and you only use beef tenderloin for filet mignon. And I got them from a local grocery store. That's about the only place I can get them unless I go to the meat market. And these are grade A choice. They're not prime. That's generally all I can get from our supermarket, unless I have them special order it, and I never know in advance when I'm going to want this stuff, so special ordering it is kind of out of the question. It takes too long to get it in, and by that time I don't want it anymore. So, and what I've got here is grade A choice. Still really good. Now, the first step, the other ingredients that you're going to need for this, aside from the Pam, are Land O'Lakes whipped butter, salt, garlic powder, Morton seasonal, and a secret ingredient, which I am not going to tell you what this is. I'm not going to put that public. If someone wants to find out what the secret ingredient is, they can send me a direct message via Twitter, and I may give them the name of the ingredient, I may not. So, this is what we do first. First, we sprinkle the meat with a little bit of salt. The main purpose of the salt isn't so much to make the meat salty, though I will admit I'm a saltaholic. No, it's to serve the same purpose as a brining solution. With a brining solution, you would take your meat or fish or vegetables or whatever, put it in a container with a mixture of water and salt and whatever spices you want, and leave it in the refrigerator for like 24 hours. And that brining solution allows the flavor of the spices to soak into whatever it is you're going to be cooking, whatever it is you're putting in the brining solution. I don't have time for that, so I do this. I add some salt to the surface of the meat, and then when I put the butter on, as the butter melts and mixes with the salt and the spices, it soaks into the meat a little bit. Not like it would with a brining solution, no way, but it soaks in a little bit, and between what's able to soak into the meat and what remains on top of the meat, caramelized, you get a filet mignon that is just, the taste is just out of this world. I mean, it's just the most delicious steak that I've ever had, and I've eaten a lot of steaks in a lot of places. I've been to the chain restaurants like the Outback, Red Lobster, Applebee's, and all those. And the Outback's okay, Red Lobster's okay, but none of them are great. And I've been to some of the more specialized restaurants, which are either chain or non-chain, like Morton's Steakhouse, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Here in the Twin Cities, we've got a place called the Ocean Air. We got a place called Sammy's. They have good steaks. But no matter where I've been, nobody makes a steak as delicious as this one. So, now the second ingredient. And that's the garlic powder. And you can watch and see just how much I put. It's not a lot. Just want to get a light coating on here. Okay. Next ingredient is the seasonal. Same thing. Come on, open. Alright. Now, same thing here. This pours a little easier, so it's going to come out a little faster. Trying not to put too much. I'm sure some cooks out there are saying, "Oh my God, that's too much, that's too much." Okay, now comes the final ingredient, my secret ingredient. I put a fair amount of this on. And I'm sure somebody's saying, "You know, that looks like some kind of a rub." Well, it is a rub, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Big problem with these steaks is that they're not flat, so stuff tends to run off. especially with the butter. And that's the next step. I'm going to have to set the phone down for a minute. Alright, get a knife, butter knife. Alright, now this cannot be spread, so what I have to do, because if you try and spread it, it's not going to stick. It'll just pull away with the knife. So what I do, what you can see that I did here, is I just kind of slid the knife down the edge of the meat to force the butter to stay in place. Now I'll get some more, and I'll do it on this side. It doesn't matter if it falls over as long as I've got some way I'm making it stay on the meat. And I'll do it over here. And try and make it fall over there. This one's going to be difficult because of the way the meat is shaped. It's going to want to stick. God damn it. Come on. There we go. Alright. That should be enough butter. Come on. Right there for that piece. Now, I'll do the other one. Once again, you can see how I use the edge of the meat here to force the butter on there. And again. Ah! Damn it. Come on. Okay. Get some more and put it right there. That one stayed. Wish I could knock that over somehow. There, that'll do. It stays right there, that'll work. Alright, so you can see how much butter I put on here. Now you know what I'm using the butter for. I'm using it for the one thing, to mix with the salt and the spices and help get the flavor of the spices to soak into the meat. But the other thing that happens is that as this butter melts, cooking under that high temperature, as close to the grilling element, the broiling element as it is, the butter tends to caramelize. It creates a caramelized layer of butter, salt, spices on the surface of the meat. So between the flavoring that has soaked into the meat plus the flavoring that's still on top of the meat, oh man, you cut off a bite of this and stick it in your mouth, and it's like you have a flavor explosion in your mouth, let me tell you. So now what will happen is I put this in the oven for just 5 minutes. Then I take it out and I do this exact same thing on the other side. And I'll go ahead and show it as I do it, just in case something wasn't seen the first time around. But we'll go ahead and we will put this in the oven for 5 minutes. I'll have to set the phone down for a minute. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to pause this thing for 5 minutes. I'll screw it up, so I'm going to have to let it run. Let this video run for 5 minutes. So I guess during that 5 minutes, we'll be watching the movie Airport 75. Alright, now I gotta set the timer. So that's the other thing you need to make sure you've got is a really good kitchen timer. Shoot, the one I'm using for the laundry because I'm doing laundry at the same time. So I'll have to get this other one. There we go. So this is the kitchen timer I'm going to use. I am using. And when the 5 minutes are up, we pull it out of the oven and we turn the meat over And I will let you see what the meat looks like after it's cooked on that one side. And then we reapply the salt, reapply the spices, reapply the butter, put it back into the oven for 5 more minutes and it's done. So I mean, except for prep time, it only takes 10 minutes to cook the perfect filet mignon. Just 10 minutes. So I'm going to have to set the phone down for a minute, I think. Need to check the computer.